Hi everyone, my name is Matt. I'm the youth and family pastor at Cornerstone Church in Marshfield, and I'm here today with your Cornerstone Connection, a daily devotional. As we begin, I do have a question, but I just want to let you know we're going to be in the Gospel of Matthew, and we're going to be in chapter 27. As you get there, I just have a question. Have you ever had to make a really tough decision? And of course you have, but let's just say this. Maybe you saw it as a tough decision, but later on when you had hindsight, you look back and really the decision wasn't that tough, but you made it tough. You know what I'm saying? I can think of a time when I decided that we needed to buy a certain vehicle. And even though I knew we shouldn't buy that vehicle, and honestly, we had no business buying that vehicle, we made the decision to buy that vehicle anyway. And 2 months later, regretted that decision and ended up selling the vehicle. Well, today as we move into Matthew chapter 27, and as you get there, perhaps you're thinking of decisions you made like that. We see Jesus, and he's on his way to Calvary. And he is with the governor, Pontius Pilate. And it's Pilate who has to make a really big decision. And I want us to see today, I want us to see the warning signs that Pilate is given in this scene that would help him make the right decision. And even though he's given plenty of warning signs, he still makes the wrong decision. And I think we can pull something from this scene that we can apply to our life so that when we have big decisions to make, we can make the right, God-honoring, God-fearing decision. So join me in Matthew chapter 27. Let's start in verse 11. It says, "Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, that being Pontius Pilate, and the governor asked him, 'Are you the king of the Jews?' 'Yes, it is as you say,' Jesus replied. And when he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate asked him, 'Don't you hear the testimony they are bringing against you?' But Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. Now, it was the governor's custom at the feast to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd. At that time, they had a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. So when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked them, 'Which one do you want me to release to you, Barabbas or Jesus who is called Christ?' For he, Pilate, knew it was out of envy that they had handed Jesus over to him." So do you notice that? Pilate had the knowledge. He knew that the only reason Jesus was before him and was on trial to be crucified was because these people who handed him over were envious. They were jealous. Verse 19, it gets even more clear. While Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat, his wife sent him this message: "Don't have anything to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him." So first, Pilate has the knowledge. He knows that these people are envious of Jesus. And then secondly, he's given a word. And not just a word from anybody. He's given a word through his wife, who says, just release this man and have nothing to do with him. There's something different about him, and I've experienced that in a divine way through my dreams. There's two things. Through knowledge and through a word, Pilate knew the right decision to make, but it gets even better here. It gets even more clear. Verse 20, "But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus executed. 'Which of the two do you want me to release to you?' asked the governor. 'Barabbas,' they answered. 'What shall I do then with Jesus who is called Christ?' Pilate asked. And they all answered, 'Crucify him.' 'Why?' Here it comes. 'What crime has he committed?' asked Pilate. You see, when Pilate looked at this situation, when he heard the accusations and he talked to Jesus and he put them side by side, he went, this man's innocent. He hasn't committed any sort of crime. In other words, this doesn't make sense. It's not logical. And so Pilate had knowledge that these people were simply envious. He was given a word through his wife to not have anything to do with this man. And then number three, it just wasn't logical. It just wasn't common sense. It didn't make any sense at all that a man like this would be crucified. But here's what happens. They shouted all the louder, "Crucify him." They shouted all the louder, "Crucify him." And most likely many of you know how the rest of the story goes. Pilate would wash his hands clean and he would say, "It is not my responsibility. His death is on your heads." And Pilate forsakes the responsibility he had played in this entire scene. And friends, we're probably not in a situation like Pilate. We're probably not in a circumstance that is as high stakes as this. But no doubt we have to make decisions in life. And here's my encouragement for all of us, including myself today, is sometimes God just gives us the knowledge so that we know. But sometimes God speaks through other people, like Pilate's wife spoke to him. And sometimes we can just look at the situation and go, this just doesn't make sense. It's just not logical. And sometimes, like for Pilate, we're given all three. Friends, may we take today's text, may we take today's scene as a warning and apply it to our own lives. Because no doubt we've all made, dare I say, just dumb decisions, despite the knowledge, the words, and the logic. That decision just doesn't make sense. Friends, may we turn our ears and our attention to heaven and listen for God to speak as He desires to speak into each and every situation in our lives as we make big decisions and small decisions. Be blessed, friends. We'll see you next time on the Cornerstone Connection.